Okay, I think we're going.
Awesome. Good afternoon.
Hi.
How are y'all
Hi.
doing today?
We're good. Okay. Yeah, I'm Holly, and
I'm Matt.
we're from Eclectic Six.
This is I Heart Sarah.
And this is Elwood Blue.
That we are. I'm moving off the
today
screen.
I just decided I didn't really want to write. I was kind of having writer's block. So I thought, you know what, Matt, live together and we talk a lot about music, and I always think
That
we should
may
just be
be an
recording
understatement.
this. So that is an understatement. So
Mhm.
I thought we should just be recording our conversations because we do get a lot of interesting things out of it.
Well, I think we do, and it may not necessarily be your taste, but at the very least, it's conversation starters. Because what we're going to talk about today are a lot of things that are general. They are things you perhaps have talked about other bands. We are talking about one specific or two specific bands in this case. We are going to warn you, however, we have eaten a great deal of fried food today. We have what is generally called the itis. So, to begin, newsflash for some people, but not everyone. The Stooges guitarist, Ron Ashton, passed away last month. Has there been an official cause of death announced?
I don't think so. I think they're stating natural causes at this point, but they're looking into that. I don't know. I really haven't been following that because it's just sad for me.
Well, honestly, that's a life lived. I mean, unfortunately, Ron passed away at the age of 60, but that's a life lived, and the stories the man told. I mean, I remember when the Stooges came back together and Ron started doing press. He would sit there and tell these stories, and I would sit there and go, wait, what? You did what? What happened? And no one died? What? But Ron was really a storehouse of rock and roll history, and he is sorely missed. But the point that we were getting around to is, what do you do as a band if one of your founding members passes away? And there have been a couple of occurrences of this in rock and roll history, and they've handled it in different ways. And we've been talking about this a little bit, and I've been talking for a while, so I'm going to let Holly talk.
I think unless it was a case like the White Stripes, where it's two people and they really take the band and they are the band, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think if, say, Meg White passed away, they could replace her, you know what I mean? So, but I do think some bands have managed to do it successfully, like Metallica.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
So when they were looking for a new bass player, because I'm not the biggest Metallica fan, so I don't know names. I just know that when they were looking for a bass player, they even asked Troy Gregory. He was in the top running for that. Which
They
is pretty
also
interesting.
asked Les Claypool, who ended up in Primus years later, and ended up with a guy named Jason Newsted, who I personally think did a fantastic job. But Cliff Burton, the original bassist for Metallica, it cannot be denied that Cliff's playing informed was the first one informed Ride the Lightning, and the later records are inevitably different because of that. And and that's one time where I'd make the argument and say, well, do you claim to be the same band? Because in that case, I think Cliff's contributions to the band, it's almost a completely different band with Newsted in it than it is with Cliff Burton. And then you have other cases. I mean, in my opinion, the Who and Led Zeppelin, so similar, so completely diametrically different in their reactions. I mean, which do you want to talk about first?
I don't know. You know who was popping into my head, though, for a complete train wreck? Was Leonard Skinner.
Oh, Lord.
So, who do you want to tackle first, then? Can we just, move back to... Are we moving to Zepp or the Who?
Okay, I think that we go with Zeppelin first, because I think it's the most interesting response. Oh, and we should throw AC/DC in there, too. Because AC/DC, diametrical response, but possibly handled best.
Yeah.
So let's start with Zeppelin. For those of you that don't know, and I'm sure you all do, but I'm still going to do it anyway, John Bonham passes away in 1980. And Zeppelin officially does not reunite as a going concern for almost 20 some odd years. I mean, when did that Walking Through Clarksdale record come out? Yeah, that should tell it. Yeah, we has the internet. But it should tell you that we can't remember when that record came out.
Yeah.
It really should tell you something about how good the record was. So, but Zeppelin break up. You know, they essentially go their separate ways. I mean, they still were in music. I mean, John Paul Jones is still one of the most sought after producers in rock and roll. You know, Page is Page, Plant is Plant, and the guys all had great careers, but it's not Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, they looked at it as, we are a 4-man unit. If one of us doesn't want to do this anymore, or one of us passes away, forget it, it's over. And many bands, by the way, have said this and not followed through on it. But Zeppelin, again, I think they went the honorable route. You know, we made a lot of money, made a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
We did amazing creative things. We did beautiful things together. And with Bonzo no longer with us, I mean, can you continue? And they said no. I'm sorry, I kind of dominated that one.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I think also, I mean, for me, I grew up with classic rock. So this was one of those mythologies, the stories of Zeus, the stories of Hercules, the stories of Led Zeppelin, the stories of The Who, the stories of the Beatles, stories of the Stones. That's what I grew up on, is my mythology, as opposed to like a kid in Greece in like 300 BC growing up on Zeus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the best little analogy I've ever heard.
Thank you very much.
I'm very proud of you.
By the way, in case anyone is wondering, I do weddings and bar mitzvahs. We're gonna wait till. Okay, Holly, are you swallowed?
I'm swallowed.
Burning 8 countryside.
Okay.
Yeah, we're really gonna have to edit the shit out of this. Okay, but again, Led Zeppelin, honorable route.
Mm-hmm.
Said it doesn't have to be about the money. We have enough money. We can move forward as solo artists, but we're not Led Zeppelin without Bonzo.
Yeah. And I think, I think The Who, didn't they kind of mess that up with the whole, because wasn't it was Townsend and Moon, and
I would say that the major creative, each one of them were creative moving forces, but what Keith Moon does is he makes them unique.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a biography of Moon that I've read a couple of times, and one of the important cultural, historical aspects of the book is putting Keith in context where very few drummers did more than just fill. Very few drummers were the creative driving force of a band before Mooney. And remember, Moon starts doing this in 65, 66. Bonham doesn't come around for another 4 years. 3-4 years. Zepp 1 came out in 68, 69, something like that. Love Charlie Watts. Charlie Watts is a jazz drummer. He fills. Love a lot of drummers, but the fact is no one played like Keith Moon.
Yeah. I agree. And I mean, it's when did he pass away?
Keith Moon passed away 79, 80, something like that. I can go look if it's really important.
It's
we can
not
put
really
it in.
that important.
Okay, I wasn't sure exactly how exact it was. No, I mean, and this is something we'd edit out. But